Good morning and welcome to my channel. My name is Patricia with a Y. For my 20 subscribers that currently exist, thank you. You are going to be starting to see a lot more content from me in the coming days and weeks ahead. For those of you joining me for the first time, my name is Patricia with a Y, and my day job is specializing in small town and rural marketing. I'm a certified small business coach and trainer, and I am currently working on launching a business incubator locally. But here on this channel, I am going to be talking about my personal philosophies, some of the things that are really important to my heart. It is going to be a place where my puppets talk about more adult topics, not in the sense of sexy topics or anything like that, but more along the lines of politics and business and things that just have no space in the preschool channel, because I will be running 3 channels. I know it's crazy, but if you've been with me for any length of time, that I am a little bit crazy, and it is okay. And I'm becoming more and more okay with it every single day. Now, I know that this particular stream is probably not going to get a whole lot of viewers today, but I hope that it does in the future, because I want this to be the introduction to the new me. The new me that's the old me, that is everything embodied. A lot of times in business, we talk about authenticity. And that has been something I have really struggled with on a personal level. I want to be authentic, but if I'm truly authentic, am I going to lose friends, lose followers, lose fans? And are people going to lose respect for me? These are the things that I've really struggled with as I have gone through as a business owner. I started my first business 24 years ago as a childcare provider. And let me tell you, at that time, I had no thought in my mind that I was going to get rich from what I was doing. It was simply a way to replace my income. Prior to getting pregnant, I had been working in the retail field. I was pretty good at it. I loved what I was doing in terms of selling, in terms of what I was learning about business when it came to marketing and to putting outfits together. Product knowledge was really important to me. And it was, in fact, while I was at that job, before I ever started my own business or anything like that, where I wrote my first handbook. Employee handbook and product knowledge guide, because they were opening a new store and we didn't have that within that particular organization. They had some awesome facilitation workshops about selling and about loss prevention and so many other things. But what they didn't have was a handbook for new employees that explained everything that we did and believed in, and the immediate product knowledge that I felt that the salespeople needed to have about what a rayon was, why it was different, and what's the difference between polyester and what is a jacquard print and what is all of these things. So I put them into a product guide. I actually got paid for it. It was just my salary of the job at the time for the hours that I put into creating it. But that was, in essence, my first copywriting type job, which I consider copywriting mostly to be writing that intended to sell, but there's other writing that is involved in business that we don't even think about till we get into business. But that's another story altogether. Going back to authenticity. So back in those early days when I first started my first home childcare, authenticity wasn't a thing that even entered my mind. I was a mom who was looking for children to look after so that I could stay home and look after my, at the time, one little baby boy. And it worked. I went, the joke was for a long time that I went from one kid to six kids in 6 months, because on a daily basis, that's what I was looking after, was six children. So within that 6 months of uh, having the one, to when my employee, or what is it called now? It's not called unemployment insurance. It's called employment insurance. That's right, EI. And we have that. I am Canadian, so at that time it was 6 months. Now you can get up to 18 months uh, on EI, but back then it was 6 months. I opened my home daycare, had no thoughts to authenticity or what that meant. That came much later, but it was a difficult journey because my ex was an alcoholic. And that put a lot of personal pressure on me, because that's not something that you can just go up and blab and tell. And there was also an incident when I was 19, where I essentially lost a job because I had a childhood that was not good dinner conversation. So, my job at the time was to be a hostess at a dinner table with people who were there to watch a presentation on timeshares. And so our job as a hostess was to be a good dinner hostess and get the potential clients to talk about themselves, their businesses, their vacations, and ultimately to develop a relationship so that when the presentation began, they would be in a good mood and receptive to the sales message. So that was my job. I didn't have to close sales. I didn't have any real idea of what a timeshare really was, but I knew that they were vacation spots, and my job was just to sit there, eat a nice dinner, and to be welcoming to the different prospects each night. And so it was a free meal in my mind, and an hourly wage. And there were bonuses if anybody ever did buy. The closing rate was miserably low. To my way of thinking and looking back on it, they didn't close even every night, but there must have been money in it somewhere that they were able to pay for all that. But that's another story altogether. My point is that I was let go from that job because I didn't know how at the time to talk about my childhood in a way that wasn't really depressing. Uh, because the simple facts of it made my life depressing, or at least the way that I was feeling at the time when I was 19. Now at 48, I realized that a lot of the things that challenged me made me smarter. I'm not smarter, but stronger. Maybe smarter. I don't know about the smarter part. How do you measure intelligence? I know they talk about IQ tests, but those seem really skewed to me, that I have discovered over time. But that's another this topic entirely. And the reason I'm talking about all this today is because I decided I wanted to. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos over the last 9 months or so, wondering how I could be different and what I could offer and how I could offer it. Now, of course, I am working on the business incubator, and that's where I'll provide relevant information on low cost marketing, specializing in small town and rural business, because that's what I've been doing for the last 17 years. And I'm going to continue to do that and provide that kind of valuable information over at the Business Incubator. And if you want the URL of that, just let me know and I will drop it in the comments. But for here, I wanted to create a new place and start this video journey from a place where I could talk about the challenges of building a business through trauma. Now, back a few years ago, I did work in this vein, but it wasn't quite the right time, and I didn't have quite the right outlook, and it didn't quite work. And that is working with survivors of domestic violence, because I really do believe that survivors have all the tools to be really good business owners, small business owners, that you can create financial freedom after trauma, after living through some of the things that a survivor lives through. And, it could be domestic violence, but it could be things, as I've found, like talking to people over the years and listening to the different challenges that we go through. It could be other traumas, addictions, alcoholism, these things all, much as we might not want to accept it, do make us stronger. So I did try in that vein a few years ago. That is when I came up with the original essence of my current personal philosophy line. And I think that I've done some videos about this on this channel in the past, but they might not longer exist because I don't know whether I did them for here or Community Futures, where I talked about this stuff. In any case, I'll talk about it now, and we can go from there. But where was I? I am doing this live because I wanted to avoid that whole insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I have tried to get started with this channel over and over and over again through the years. And I do just feel more comfortable with live video and doing things, even if there's no audience. Like right now, there's nobody watching. But it still makes me feel more engaged when I'm talking to a live camera as opposed to one that I know is being recorded, which I know sounds weird, but it works. And I am really all about what works. In the end, there is no right or wrong. This is what I have learned in my 24 years of business. There is no real right or wrong. There's what's right or wrong for you. And that's going to be driven by your philosophies, your core beliefs. And for me, and I'll be exploring all of these through this channel because I think that it's important to talk about the things that I believe in, but also to encourage you to explore and live in the things that you believe in, because that is the true essence of an awesome and great business, is when it is, based on your heart and what brings you joy. And I will be expressing that here also through my puppets. Uh-oh. I had just a flicker of light there. I may be losing light in one of my soft boxes. That won't be awesome, but I do have a backup light that I have just in case that does happen. So in any case, two, will it be two or will it be four? No, it will be at least two, if not four, of the puppets that I originally created for Zindagi Village will be doing a series here, or a couple of series here, on different aspects of politics and business and different ways of doing business. It's going to be really, really fun. And if you want to learn more about that, we did talk about this over on the Morning Guru podcast I took Paige on. Paige is one of my puppets. If you are not aware, I created a family of puppets a few years ago, and they have been sort of going through the same tumultuous times I have personally been going through in figuring out what I want to do when I grow up. Now, here's the thing about me. I never wanted to grow up. I and I say that, but I mean, really, I never wanted to grow up. Childhood was not awesome. I mean, I just said that I had a childhood that was too depressing for good dinner conversation. So it obviously wasn't awesome. But there are aspects of childhood that I want to keep alive, that wonder, that learning, that just being in touch with creativity and all those wonderful things. Those aspects of childhood are the ones that I want to maintain and that I've worked to maintain over my life. Where was I? I am getting off topic, but I think that I'm getting to the heart of what I want to. So, yeah. So I created these puppets, and then last Friday I screwed up the courage to go on somebody else's YouTube live. It was Savvy Leister and RK, and they have a channel where they have been living the lives of gurus. Gurus? That sounds wrong. Anyways, it is a wrong thing. When you declare yourself a guru, in my opinion, uh, actually, we'll just skip my opinion for now. But it's cultural misappropriation in a lot of ways. But we won't go into that now. But we can talk about it if that's a topic you would like to talk about. Put it in the comments if you're watching. If you are watching, thank you. Yeah, but put it in the comments if you want to talk about how I feel that word itself is cultural misappropriation. When somebody calls themselves a guru, that really is a fine line. So if you do want to talk about that and dive into why I think that is, because not all my thoughts are YouTube worthy. I realize that. Here, that's what we'll go into now, is my personal success theory. Oh, no, I was talking about my personal purpose. Right. So going back to that, which is, I'll just, say it and then, we can dive into it further. My personal purpose is to encourage entrepreneurship through education, empowerment, and example. Now, that has been my personal purpose for about the last 5 years. I have been playing with it and refining it and really trying to live it out in my life. I originally defined it after reading a book by a fellow Canadian, Barb Stegman, who wrote the book, The 7 Virtues of a Philosopher Queen. And that means I need to go. So I will catch you all next time and we'll dive in further. Do answer questions. Do hit the thumbs up if you have enjoyed this, and do subscribe for future episodes where we dive into these different topics, because like I said, my purpose is to encourage entrepreneurship through education, empowerment, and example. And I will be diving into those ways in the coming days and weeks ahead. And I may even come back on a little later to dive into all the topics, because I didn't even get into half the topics I meant to in this one, but I didn't want to get started because I have been watching the Think Media and how they say just hit record. Well, there you did it. I did it. I just hit record. And now I'm going to just hit stop and say, until next time, have an amazing rest of the day. My name is Patricia with a Y, and I am looking forward to the journey.